The church is not responsible of you. The church is not responsible of nobody, because each individual must help themselves before anybody else helping them. And because if you have this idea that the church is responsible of you, you are going to now obligate the church to take care of you or to support you or to help you. But the whole time, the church is not obligated to help you. If it's a church that you believe into and you cooperate and you invest your time and your energy into the church and you are going through a hard time, of course, that church can provide resources, that church can provide help. However, that church is not responsible of you. Why will you put the responsibility of your life in somebody's hands? Why will you put the responsibility of who you become in somebody's hands? No, that's your own, that's your own responsibility. This idea that, well, I go to this church, so they are responsible of me. They are not responsible of you. You are responsible of yourself. But if you're going to around life depending on your church to help you, you're going to depend your whole life. Forget about somebody else changing your life, somebody else fixing you, helping you, saving yourself. You help yourself. You have more power in your own life than your church. You have more power in your life than your church. But if you sit around and you wait, oh, my church will do it for me. My church will find a job for me. My church will provide food for me. My church will make me successful. My church will make me educated. Now you are giving the power to the church to do those good things, right? But the same way the church can do those good things to you, the church can also do bad things to you. Because if you think the church is responsible of your success, then also the church is responsible of your misery, because you are giving your church the power. If you give the church the power to make you happy, you are also giving them the power to make you unhappy. If you give the church the power to make you rich, you are also giving the church the power to make you poor. If you give the church the power to make you wise, you are also giving the church the power to make you dumb. If you give the church the power to make you strong, you are also giving the church the power to make you weak. Do not give anything or anybody or any industry or any company power over you. Take ownership of your life. And I remember in one of my classes, one of my students shared that when he had a hard time, the church asked him to go pray. But whenever the church needed help from his people or from the audience, they asked them for money. I was like, no, that right there doesn't make no sense. As it says here, the church is supposed to help you in hard time, as they should. But before them helping you, you have to help yourself. And if you go to the church and the church tells you, oh, well, we can help you, what are you going to do then? Your life is not your responsibility. Yes, if what they stand for is good, they're supposed to help the congregation do good, feel good, and act good. That's what I emphasize on teaching people to think correctly, to think positive, to think prosperous, to think success, to think happiness, to think positively, to think constructively, to think great of themselves, about themselves. Because you cannot change the way somebody act without changing the way somebody think. You cannot change nobody's life without changing the way that person think, because power is the mind. And in this video, I was explaining how somebody said pastors having jets and mansions. Your pastor having jets and mansions, that doesn't tell you anything. And this to me tells me that, oh, then the love of money is good. And I'm going to have my money. Because, again, God is not in the church. God does not have a religion. God is winning you. If you see your pastor having all that money, all that success, all that wealth, take it as motivation and inspiration, or go ask them. Go ask the pastor, me too, I want to be as rich as you are. Show me and teach me. Because I said in one of my videos, if a pastor become rich, but the people he or she is preaching to remain poor, remain low, remain negative, is because that pastor is becoming rich thanks to keeping the people she or he is speaking into poor. It's because that pastor has become rich thanks to his or her congregation thinking poor, acting poor. It's because that pastor had become rich thanks to the money the people in the congregation are giving to him or to her. Because if a pastor is prosperous, successful, rich, abundant, why is the congregation not successful, rich, prosperous, and abundant? Something is not clapping. And also, if a pastor is rich, wealthy, successful, they should teach why the church, hey, this is what I'm doing. But if a pastor become rich, but the pastor is not willing to teach prosperity to the people he or she is preaching to, it's because that pastor wants you to be poor. Absolutely. And I say it too in one of my videos. Stop going into churches where they preach poverty. Stop going into churches where they preach sickness. Stop going into churches where they make you think or make you feel that being poor is good. That if you are poor, God love you more. But if you become rich, God love you less. That's completely false. You are the child of God. What is your legacy from God? If you agree and believe that God is your father, do you think poverty is the legacy from God? Poverty, misery, lack, fear, insecurity. No. That's not the legacy of God. The legacy of God is happiness, positivity, success, wealth, joy, love, money. That's the legacy. Stop going into churches that they teach you poverty. No. If a pastor tells you money is bad, money is evil, then ask that pastor, then why do we have to give it to the church then? If it's so bad, if it's so evil, if it's so nasty, why do we give it to the church? Why? And pastor, I see you with Jason Mansion. Can you teach us? Can you start a class or a service in where you are teaching on money? Money is good. Money is great. Money is a beautiful and positive tool. But if you can't think correctly for money and about money, how are you going to have it? How are you going to have it? If I ask you today, right now, do you want to be rich or do you want to be poor? You're going to answer, I want to be rich. And being rich, having money is part of being rich. It's not the only part. Because riches is not money only. Money and riches is also the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act is riches. How successful you are, it's not about how much money you have. It's about how correctly you think about yourself. Because wealth, riches starts in the mind before going into the pocket. You must believe, you must see yourself as rich before you can see that riches in your pocket. That's why I teach and preach the power of thinking positive, thinking good of yourself, thinking great about yourself, thinking and seeing yourself as somebody who's prosperous, somebody who's rich, somebody who's abundant, somebody who's living a life of joy, a life of success, a life of perfect health. Somebody who knows that everything I want, I can do it. Why? Because I believe in myself. And I emphasize in all my teaching the thinking part, the power of the mind, the power of the mind, the power of the mind, because power is the mind. But how many of the churches you go or you have seen teach you about you thinking positively? The other day, somebody in my classes were like, well, I come to your life because you teach things that sound good and feel good and are positive. But in my church, they don't teach about that. They only teach us about the Bible, what happened to Moses. And they're teaching about you, about somebody else, but not about yourself. Why is that? How can you not teach people to think positive? It should be a must. And by the way, again, the church is not responsible of you because you are responsible for your education. Don't wait on the church to educate you. You educate yourself. Don't wait on the church to make you rich. You make yourself rich. Don't wait on the church to change your life. You take ownership and you go ahead and change your life because you are responsible of you. And with your power of your mind, the power of your consciousness, the power of the God within you, you can change your life for the better. Nobody is responsible of you but you. Instead of you waiting or expecting from the church, wait and expect from yourself. Yeah.